college football preview video. This is the Saturday preview, breaking down a large Saturday card. Hope you're having a great morning so far. Get your coffee, get your breakfast, and sit down and watch me as we break down plenty of games here over the next hour or so. Try to hit as many as possible. That's what we do here on the preview. Week 7 already coming at you in college football. You know, it's your first real Saturday, right, of October and of fall. You know, it's actually feels like fall. You know, the temperatures are, in the 50s. You know, it's we don't have to worry about any high 80s anymore or 90s, unless you live in Florida or, Arizona or something. But at any rate, plenty of cool weather around the country. Hope you're having a great day. As I said, if you're out there listening to the show, please hit the like button, say hello in the chat box, and if you're on Twitter, retweet the show. You won't believe how much that helps growing a channel, and I thank all of you for always doing that. All right, let's get into the show here. We'll start, obviously, at the beginning with the 12 o'clock games, try to get to as many as we can. I'm just going to go down the rotation. I'm going to go into depth with more of the games. Some of the games I would just say I don't have an opinion on. So, again, that's the show today, and that's mostly what I normally do. But today I'm going to make it particularly poignant to go through every game. Now, keep in mind, if I don't go into it in depth, I don't care about it or I don't have an opinion on it. I don't bet volume-based. I only have, 3 to 5 plays a week as far as in college football. So, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that those plays are already out. So maybe let's see if we can add to it or have a strong opinion on it. All right, 115, 116. Indiana hosting Rutgers. Look, I think Rutgers is improving. I know people will think I'm crazy, but I think they have the right man for the job there as their coach, the new coach, Campanile. For anyone that doesn't know about him, he was a former New Jersey high school football coach at Bergen Catholic. He won some NJ state titles. And in fact, his quarterback, Johnny Lehman, was his quarterback at Bergen Catholic. And, you would have gotten excited about that if some of these kids on the team didn't redshirt. But they decided to. Seems like a lost season for Rutgers. At any rate, to think that Indiana should be laying 27 points to them, I mean, it seems like a lot. It seems like a lot. I'd have put this more around, 21, 22. But, I mean, you look at Rutgers on the road, 2 games, they've not scored, which is very concerning. Keep in mind, though, those games were against Michigan and Iowa, much different football teams. But this is an Indiana team that's actually been quite good defensively in their own right. There's been games where they've struggled in, but you look at those games. One of them was against Ohio State, and then the other one, they gave up 40 points to Michigan State, which is a major concern. He gave up a lot of passing yards in that game. I don't know. I mean, this is a tough one just because Rutgers has had so much trouble on the road. It's a pass for me. I think Rutgers will get there eventually. I think they'll improve eventually. But it's a tough time right now to be a fan of this group. They've definitely pulled the wool over the Big Ten's eyes. Toledo, Bowling Green, no real opinion here. Toledo is always worth laying a big number with just because they can score, but then they're also not because they don't really stop anybody. Bowling Green, though, one of the worst teams in the country. Really a season loss. So you got to wonder where their head's at, but not a game I'll be betting on. Michigan, Illinois. Michigan laid 23.5, total 48. This total continues to come down. It was 49 last night. Word is, though, today, Brandon Peters will not play. So Brandon Peters will not play his former team, which is definitely kind of disappointing. You would have kind of liked to have seen that. But, look, I think at any rate, Illinois is going to have to run the football today. If they could find ways to get running lanes and open some things up, they could score. I don't think that they're going to cover this game, but I think they can hang and you maybe put 14 or 17 on a board. Michigan at times has had trouble against the run. We saw it obviously against Wisconsin. And look, I'm not saying Illinois' backs are John Taylor, but Illinois' got a couple backs that can run the football. Reggie Corbin, a solid player. And this is a Michigan team. You look at against Army, they struggled. Against Wisconsin, they struggled. You look at, the last two games, they've given up 47 rushing yards in 2 games, including last week. They give up 1 rushing yard to Iowa. I mean, that was an unbelievable performance on 30 carries. So, has it fixed itself? It may just have. At any rate, Michigan should be able to put, I would think, 40 up in this game. I think if you're a Michigan fan, that's the goal today. You want to get this offense going. And this offense was able to get going 2 weeks ago against Rutgers. I feel like if I'm Michigan, I want to see another performance like that. You look at the one big problem that Michigan has, turnovers. They have 16 turnovers in 5 games. Let me say it again. They have 16 turnovers in 5 games. They've got to figure that out. If I'm, again, Michigan, I want to go in here and pound Illinois. Kind of reminds me of that game last night with Oregon, Colorado. It's a little different because it is on the road. But it's wild this total continues to go down. Because, I felt like I could peg Michigan at, 40 plus. I feel like Illinois is good for maybe 10. But are they? Do they get shut out here? They have a backup quarterback, Matt Robinson. And basically, Michigan's going to just stack the boxes and tell Robinson to beat them. So, I don't know. But I still would peg Michigan for 40 points. They usually take care of business in these kind of games against poor opponents. So, this seems to me like a 44-6 type of game, 44-10. If I had to play it, I'd go over, but not a game I'll be betting on. Louisville, Wake Forest. I like Wake. I definitely like Wake, but I also do kind of like Louisville. I think they're in a different spot now. They have a new coach. I think the culture's a bit different there. And, look, they're fighting. They're 3-2. They've had some tough games, played some tough competition, obviously including Notre Dame in week 1. It's another tough game here. Dave Clawson's group, bowl eligible today with a win. How about that? Obviously, their bigger aspirations at Wake. They want to challenge, and they're playing really well. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Is Wake the second best team in this conference? I think they are. I think it's clear they are. I mean, who's better than Wake outside of Clemson? I don't think there's anybody. I like what I'm seeing out of this Wake team, and I got to say, I think in this kind of spot, I kind of like them here. You also look at the fact that as an underdog, this Louisville team's failed to cover in 10 of 13 as a dog. They just don't cover in these kind of games. And I've been impressed with Wake's defense. What an improvement. At points last year and the year before, this team couldn't stop anybody. Dave Clawson really put some time into getting this defense figured out. They seem to have done it. They're putting up a lot of points. I'll tell you what, and again, I don't play teasers much at all. I mean, I can't remember last time I played a college teaser, but getting the points away from this game could kind of make some sense. Maybe just having to win at home, feel a lot more comfortable with that. But at any rate, I really like the spot. Do me a favor, retweet the show if you're on Twitter. Seems like the comments are having some trouble with the comments. I don't know. Usually there's so many comments in here, but I guess we're not seeing those. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully the show works. I don't know what's going on. I'm just spitting facts. I'm just spitting fire. Here comes some comments. So yeah, let's keep it going here. I'm just going down the card, so feel free to just sit back and enjoy. I'm going rotation number. So again, if you're following that way, then follow that way. I'm not going by time. I'm just going by rotation number. 123, 124, Navy, Tulsa. I took Navy here. This is a play of mine today. I've already bet it. I took Navy on the money line. I think they're the better team. I think Tulsa's got to be wrecked after last week. You probably should have won that game. Tough loss. And I know this is a Navy team. Navy's not been a great road team under Niumatalolo, but I think last week was really big for them. If you read some of the talk coming out of Navy is, they were over that game by Monday. And again, it was let's move forward and let's continue to win. Listen, the Naval Academy knows about winning. This is not a team that doesn't win very often. They win all the time. They're very good. Malcolm Perry is the best player in the field. And Tulsa's had a lot of trouble through the years against the triple option. It's just a really tough defense to prepare for in the middle of the season. And listen, I think today for me, most of my bets are all about spots and all about just what makes sense. And I think sometimes in college football, you don't want to overcomplicate things. Last week, Navy, they were an underdog at home. I'm in. This week, they're a road, pick 'em. I'm in. Like, that's just something I'm going to do. Listen, if Tulsa comes in and wins, then it's fine. I'll salute. I love the spot, though. I love Navy. I think they have most advantages on the field here, and I think they're prepared here. I'll take Navy to just win. I'm never not happy being in that situation. Perry's the best player in the field. They've added in the throwing game. I like Navy. Back-to-back, another game I'm on, 125, 126. And, I will say this. This game is definitely concerning on one aspect. I don't like being involved with big public dogs. I just don't. But the reason I took Texas today is because I just couldn't live with myself if I didn't. I've seen these spots so many different times in this conference. Big home underdog or big neutral dog. That's great as an underdog. Tom Herman is one of the best coaches in the country as an underdog. Not only are we getting points, we're getting double-digit points. And look, I'm waiting for for Oklahoma's defense to prove that they're better because they're going to be tested today. Sam Ehlinger, Colin Johnson, Devin Duvernay, Keontae Ingram, they're as good as it gets. And this is a defense that's going to be on their heels. I feel like Texas moves the ball. I don't think Oklahoma is going to come in here and just get stops. I think they're going to fold. I think that's what they normally do. And I got to tell you, I love Jalen Hurts, but I want him to go in and put up numbers here. Go up and do it. You got an offensive line that's not as good as previous years. And I'll tell you another thing. Today, Oklahoma is going to be without two top tackles. It's a big loss. Jalen Hurts is not, I think, as mobile as some of the predecessors that have been at Oklahoma. I think Texas defense does enough. Pass rush could be important today. Listen, another one where I said it all week. If Texas loses, 52-38, I'm good with it. I'm never good with losses, but I feel like Texas is the play. And I would feel cheated if I didn't bet this game. And that might be really reckless and negligent because the whole world's on Texas. But sometimes the whole world gets things right. They just do. I saw the whole world in Oregon last night, and they won big. So just because the whole world is on it doesn't mean anything. All the national media, that's their new favorite thing. The whole world's on something, so we're going the other way. Sometimes the whole world wins. Look at the Astros. The whole world's on the Astros, and they always win. So, Listen, guys, I'm going to try to make this a point to say you don't need to ask about a game. I'm going to try to get to everyone. I'm just going down the card here. Just please, just sit back and listen. You'll get your plays. Let's keep it moving. So I'm on Texas and Navy. Those are two plays I've already bet. Memphis Temple. This is another game where I considered Temple a lot here, but I'm not getting the best number. I wanted 6, or even 5.5. I'm not getting that. I'm getting 4.5. I still kind of like it at 4.5. I think Temple's the play here. Temple is a really good defense. Temple is an offense that can move the ball. And I think Memphis is a pretty fraudulent 5-0, to be real honest with you. Ole Miss stinks. Southern, who cares? South Alabama is one of the worst teams in the country. Navy, they were getting beat up in that game, and Navy just disappeared in the second half. And then UL Monroe, I mean, you and me and 9 other listeners could score on UL Monroe. This is their first real test, I think, for Memphis. It's a road game. It's homecoming at Temple. This is a Temple team that's not only been very good defensively, but been very good offensively. Ramon Davis has been fantastic for them, the freshman running back. Anthony Russo has been really good. They threw Todd Centeio in as kind of a off-the-beaten-path quarterback that can run around. I really like Temple here. I think they're a good play. I think they get the job done here. They always find ways to win games like this. They have no significant injuries. I think it's a good spot for the Owls on homecoming to at least keep this one close. This game just comes down to me. I think it's like a 27-24, 24-21. I don't think it's going to be incredibly high scoring. But Temple in these spots as an underdog usually gets the job done. You look at this year at home, they're also 3-0 against the number, including a win against Maryland. And they've covered 7 of 11 as an underdog. This is a good spot for Temple. I just like it. So, again, you got to look at have teams. And look, I know Memphis plays the game on their schedule, but I mean, that's about as fraudulent of a 5-0 as you could get. Really, outside of Navy. I mean, you still gave up almost 300 rushing yards in that game, though. Navy just turned the ball over 3 times. And by the way, I want to make this clear. That was also a pretty fraudulent win by Navy. I want to say they had like 2 kick returns. Like it was some random like bullshit that doesn't usually happen. I'm telling you, Memphis is the biggest fraud 5-0 team in the country. And usually teams like this fall flat on their face against a team like Temple. This is a tough stretch for Memphis. You got Temple this week. You got to play a pretty good Tulane team next week. You also got SMU on the horizon, add Houston, Cincinnati, and out South Florida. Every game, even Tulsa's tough. Every game here, then we're going to find out a lot about Memphis by the end of the season. If Memphis is undefeated or has 1 loss, they're real, obviously, with that schedule. But they have surely been a fraud early on because this schedule stinks. 129-130, Nebraska, Minnesota. I don't have much in this game. I like Minnesota a lot. I'm a fan of their quarterback, Morgan. I love their run game. This game seems like a spot to go over in, but Minnesota's defense is good. I mean, but they're a favorite now. They're not an underdog or not a 1.5-point favorite. This is a team that's going to win by a touchdown or more. We're going to find out a lot about Minnesota. They're starting to become a public darling. They're starting to get ranked. We saw what happened last night once you get ranked. Usually you fall flat on your face. Virginia, look at them, prime example. I like Minnesota, though. They've been putting points on the board. They've found ways to kind of figure it out when they get into the red zone. You look at Nebraska today. Adrian Martinez is questionable. J.D. Spielman, questionable. I'll tell you right now, I want to see about Martinez here. Here's the thing. Martinez did this last year. He had a game where he was questionable. And I remember he tried to play, and he was brutal. So I don't know. I don't have much in this game. I'm not really looking to lay points at this point with Minnesota at this number. So it's a pass for me. Georgia Tech, Duke. I have no opinion. I don't like the quarterback for Duke, Quentin Harris. I think he's a mess, and that was evident last week. I mean, I think he had 5 turnovers. I just don't think he's very good, to be honest. Georgia State, Coastal Carolina, 2 Sunbelt teams that I just don't bet on very frequently. Coastal's a favorite here, which I don't know. Seems a little tough to do. Pass. Maryland, Purdue. I mean, does anyone want to bet either of these teams? Because, I mean, Maryland has looked lost. I mean, without really after that after that Temple game, they've looked lost. And Purdue is playing without Sindelar, Rondell Moore, some defensive players. This is an ugly game. Flip a coin in this one. I guess I'd slightly lean Maryland just because I feel like Pigram is okay, I guess. But both teams have been disappointing. Iowa State, West Virginia. This is another spot where I kind of like the Mountaineers here. I have not been real impressed with Iowa State. I know a lot of people thought this team would challenge in the Big 12. I didn't see it. I mean, you lose David Montgomery, Akeem Butler. Those are big players for Brock Purdy. Now you're laying double digits on the road. I actually think West Virginia is the play here. This is basically telling you that Iowa State and Texas are on the same wavelengths because Texas was a 10-point favorite last week, and they got the job done. It wasn't easy, though. I think West Virginia not only challenges, I think they challenge to win this game. I've been actually kind of impressed with what they've started to do there. It seems like Neil Brown is starting to find some footing at West Virginia. It's not going to be easy. Take some time. But I'll tell you what, if you're seeing some of the things coming out of Houston with Dana Holgorsen, it almost feels like West Virginia might just get might just be there at the end with a smile on their face. So, we'll see. But I think in this spot, this is just a little bit too many points for me. In fact, I mean, this is a game that I had my eye on. I think West Virginia is getting there. I really do. And I don't know about Iowa State. I haven't been overly impressed with the Cyclones. Really at any point this year. I mean, where exactly were you? I guess last week that was pretty impressive. To put up 49 points on Texas Christian, but you lose to Baylor, you lose to Iowa, you struggle with Northern Iowa. So I guess I'm asking for Iowa State to kind of put it all together and be consistent with that. But if I had to play this one, I would take the points here with the Mountaineers. Hawaii, Boise. That's a late night game, 139-140. Talked about this game with Ian Cameron. Lean over the total. Hawaii should be able to move the ball. If there's one thing about Boise that's concerning, it's their secondary. They've not faced a pass offense quite like this. But this is also a spot where Cole McDonald has struggled. We'll see if they can get the ball moving. They have good enough receivers where I think they can get behind the Boise players a couple of times. I'm willing to think they can get to 20 here. I think if they can get to 20, this game will go over. Boise will put points on the board. This game seems a lot, real similar to Hawaii's game against Washington. And I actually think Washington's defense is better than Boise. So, I lean over here. I think if anything under 62-ish, I kind of have some interest. But I've kind of staved off over-unders. Just haven't had a ton of success. Most of my success has come with sides. So, I'm kind of sticking with those. Thank you all for watching. It's very kind of you to check the show out. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're getting something out of it. I hope you're finding, something that you can use to help yourself out. Let's go to the next game. 141-142. Eastern Michigan, Ball State. Seems like a spot EMU gets the job done in, right? I mean, pick them at home against Ball State. Ball State's actually been decent this year. Drew Plitt's a pretty good quarterback, but a game I don't have any interest in. Old Dominion, Marshall. If I had to play a total today, this was probably the game I was going to do it in. Under 47 looked really good here. My only question was, does Marshall just kind of put a ton of points up? Old Dominion's a good defense, but does Marshall finally figure it out in the red zone? That's been their issue this year. This seems to me like a 34-7 type of game. Old Dominion just can't figure it out offensively, and these teams are really slow tempo-wise. But any total in the 40s, even a mid-40s, is always concerning for me. So I ended up staying off it. But I definitely considered this one. I look at it maybe it's just a walk in the park for Marshall, and they put up 45, and this is 45-10. That was my concern here. But I like this under 47. It's definitely a free play I'll throw out here on the show. It just didn't get there. Didn't get close enough. 145-146, New Mexico State, Central Michigan. Seems like a lot of points for New Mexico State. They're not a good team, but I don't think Central Michigan's a good team either. At some point, New Mexico State will win. Central Michigan's had all sorts of injuries. I mean, I don't know that they should be laying 10 to anybody. Another game, though, where you could have got a better number early in the week. 147-148, Arizona State, Washington State. This one stared me in the face all week. I love Washington State. I love Mike Leach. I think that defense will improve after Tracy Claeys. And if I'm an Arizona State Sun Devil fan, here's what I'm worried about in this game. While Washington State's defense stinks, Arizona State's defense is usually pretty good. Why is the total so high in this game? This is telling me that I feel like Washington State's going to show out today. This is a game I think Arizona State's really going to struggle in because they just haven't really faced a quarterback quite like this. They haven't faced an offense quite like this. And the one game that they did against Colorado, they gave up 30-plus points. This is a game where if I'm an Arizona State fan, I'm a little concerned about. The only reason I didn't take this game is because it's at 3:30 Pacific. It's an early start, which you don't normally have in the Pac-12. Could throw off the body clocks a little bit. Could take some time getting going. But, I mean, if you're Washington State, you really need this game, to be real honest with you. I mean, Washington State all of a sudden has lost a couple games in a row. They only have 3 wins on the season. You got to start winning some games here. And this is kind of a springboard game. If you can win this game, you should be able to beat Colorado next week at home. You have some winnable games against Stanford and Oregon State. If you're Washington State, you need this game. And I have to wonder, after a bye, this is a great spot for Washington State after a bye. You got, I'm sure you were laid into by Mike Leach after that performance against the UCLA Bruins and then Utah. It could be a new day for that defense. Let's hope that they can get it figured out. And I wanted to take Washington State. I really did. But just some weird time here. And, I don't know. Road team normally doesn't win this kind of spots. Utah, Oregon State. I don't have much in this game. Utah should be able to do what they want to do. But, Oregon State's improving. They're a fast offense. They go quick. They can actually move the ball. With John Smith as our coach. The tempo's a lot better for them. They run the ball well with Jamar Jefferson. Could be kind of a different wrinkle than Utah's kind of used to. And look, anytime you're laying 2 touchdowns plus on the road, it's never easy. But looks like Utah's back at full strength. So this should be a game they do what they want to do in. Washington, Arizona. Listen, I'm going to come out and say it. I think Washington stinks. I bet against them last week in the second half. Love that spot. I'll kind of wait to see what Washington does here and then maybe look at this from a second half perspective. I've had some good success this year with second half Pac-12 games on a Saturday, Friday night. I've done well with those. And it might be a spot tonight where I have another play on. So check me out on Twitter. I've been getting involved with some of these late night. So follow me on Twitter at Jeff Nadu. Maybe I'll put one out on this game. I really just kind of wanted to see what Washington team we're getting. Are we getting the team that blew out Hawaii, or are we getting the team that lost to Stanford? And both these teams are very Jekyll and Hyde. Mississippi, Missouri. Is Kelly Bryant going to play? It looks like he is. I think Mississippi's turned a bit of a corner, but 2 teams I just don't have much on. South Carolina, Georgia. You could have got a better number on this game, all week. If you're betting this at 21, I don't really know what to tell you. We've seen Alabama in games like this. Georgia's kind of on another level, as we all know. I just don't get involved with the SEC real often. I don't really want to step in front of Georgia. What has South Carolina really showed you that, they can hang in this game? You look at that game against Alabama, got beat up. Got beat up last week by Missouri or 2 weeks ago. Their 2 wins are against Charleston Southern and Kentucky. Cool. Georgia's a different animal. And you could have got a better number on South Carolina. So if you're betting it now, I think you're hurting yourself. Mississippi State, Tennessee. Mississippi State, it's crazy how poor their defense has been. They're giving up almost 2 yards more per play than they gave up last year. I think they gave up like 4 yards a play last year. I think this year they're giving up almost 6.4. It's crazy. Crazy how much a draft can pillage your team. Is this a spot where Tennessee gets off the mat? You would hope. This is a winnable game if you're Tennessee. It's not crazy, but I can't get behind Tennessee. I just can't. But I think Mississippi State's a complete fraud. Complete fraud. Kent State, Akron. Should Kent State be laying 14.5 to anybody? But then again, I mean, Akron might be the worst team in the country overall. So, yeah, I take a guess on that one. I mean, think about that. UMass beat Akron by double digits. How bad is Akron? Northern Illinois, Ohio. Another MAC game I don't have much on. Northern Illinois is not a team they once were. Ohio is probably one of the better teams in that conference. They have kind of a change of the pace quarterback and Nathan Rourke. Generally a pretty good defense. I don't ever like betting against Frank Solich. Do what you will on that one. Kentucky, Arkansas. Two teams that I have no interest in. I feel like Kentucky is a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? They're a little bit more dependable, I guess. Arkansas is a mess. I don't know what Chad Morris is doing there. Seems like a messy situation. A game I'm just blah on. Texas Tech, Baylor. This seems like a couple too many points. I think Texas Tech is figuring it out defensively. The quarterback play seems like it got going last week with Jet Duffy. This is a different spot for Baylor. Now you're laying double digits against a decent team in the Pac-12 or in the Big 12. I don't know. I like Baylor. Really good offense, but Texas Tech seems to sneak up on a lot of teams. Matt Wells starting to kind of maybe figure it out there a little bit. Let's check in on some comments here. Did I miss the El Camino review? I want to say I talked 2 times with you about that. I thought, but yeah, we're not talking about El Camino. We already talked about it, and I'm not gonna ruin it for anyone that hasn't seen it. Marshall can't stop anybody. That's a bit of a stretch. Look at who they've played, and look at who Old Dominion is. I don't know about they can't stop anybody. Old Dominion's one of the worst offenses in the country. Let's keep it moving here. We're just going down the card, everybody. Miami of Ohio, Western Michigan. No opinion. BYU, South Florida. Looks like BYU is going to go with a new quarterback today, which is interesting for sure. I think it adds a different kind of offense to what they're normally used to. No Blake Barnett today. Jordan McLeod's going to start. At what point does South Florida have to think about something different? Charlie Strong, this team's just brutal. There's nothing about them that's appetizing. And this is a BYU team that, look, I'm going to come out and say it. They got to start stopping the run. They just do. It's going to be very simple today for South Florida. You're at home. Let's establish the run here. We ran for over 300 yards last week. This is a BYU defense that just can't stop the run. BYU, tough spot here. South Florida, you can't stop the run. I'm not running to the window to lay 4 points with Brigham Young. I'm just not. South Florida, I don't really love them. This isn't a Marlon Mack or Quentin Flowers type South Florida team, but I don't want to lay 5 with 4 or 4.5 with Brigham Young either. Lean South Florida in that game. Cincinnati, Houston. What is Houston? Because they look pretty good with Clayton Tune last week against North Texas. North Texas, a good team. And they did what they wanted. Now Cincinnati's starting to lay a touchdown and an extra point. They're starting to become a little maybe overvalued. Is this a spot where this isn't a home game on a Thursday night. This is a road game on a Saturday as a touchdown favorite. But if you read some of the things coming out of Houston, to me, they're an unbackable program. Are they tanking? Are they not tanking? Do players like the coach? There's just, you got to read up what's going on in Houston. There's too many things about this team that are concerning to me. So I would have no interest in Houston. I get where you would, but I'm not doing it. Connecticut, Tulane, another spot. Seems like too many points. I think Connecticut's getting there. I'm not going to tell you they're a good team or anything, but Tulane's got a big game on deck. They're coming off a big game, a game that took a lot out of them. They had to come back home. kind of a sandwich spot here against UConn, a game that they'll win. But this one kind of seems like 41-14 to me. Just my thoughts. You really need this game to be 52-7, which I don't think that will happen. Tulane's good. I'm not sure that their 34-point favorite's good against anybody. But UConn's going to have to find a way to find the end zone with Kevin Mensah. I'll tell you right now, I think if they could find the end zone, they'll cover in this game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is 38-7. I can see that. I think UConn could get to 10 or 13. If they'll do that, they'll cover. I think. Because Tulane, if I'm Tulane and I'm Willie Fritz, if this game's in the fourth quarter and it's 38-13, 41-7, I'm getting my people out. And Tulane's not a team that has tip-top talent in their second team. They're not Alabama or Michigan. So definitely a tough spot for Tulane here. Laying a big number, sandwich spot, Memphis on deck. I'm not doing it. Lean Connecticut. UNLV Vandy, two teams that are horrific. No opinion on this game. UNLV seemed to find something last week with Oblad, but now you're going on the road. And look, I know Vandy blows, but then again, I know Vandy blows. And I feel like Oblad can move the ball. Vandy is kind of a disgrace to the SEC. It's not like Vandy's like old Vandy where like they just can't score and they kind of have a good defense. They don't have a good defense and they can't really do anything. So this total is 57.5. I feel like these two teams just kind of throw it out and just start throwing the ball around. This Vandy team's bad defensively. So is UNLV. Weird game. Why is UNLV playing Vandy in week 7? What's that all about? Michigan State, Wisconsin. I know these games find their way over a lot of the time. And, look at that Northwestern game. I want to say that one found its way over. But, how does Michigan State score in this game? I'm trying to find out a significant way to realize that they can do that. I can't seem to do it. All right, I'm going to say it. I think this game is 21-9. I think Wisconsin continues to dominate opponents defensively. I'll go under 40.5. I don't want to do it, but it's a free play. I'm going to do it. It's my free play today on this show. Florida LSU. What a game this is going to be. Because I think it's a prove-it game for Florida, right? Kind of seems like Auburn. And Drew Martin made this point. I heard Drew Martin say this, and it was a very astute point by him. He talked about Florida and how he thinks they're what Auburn was last week. So Florida basically this week going on the road, tough atmosphere, Death Valley, 8 o'clock against that team with that, with Trask as the quarterback. Is Trask ready for the stage? But for me, if I'm betting this game, I have to get 14. I just do. I want 14. I don't want to bet this game at 13.5. And LSU, we're going to find out a lot about them today. I'll tell you what, if LSU goes in and Burrow has 400 yards and they put up 40 points, listen, I already think LSU's a top 10 team in the country, top 3 team, top 4 team. I think they're in the top 4, to be real honest with you. But if they can go in and put points on the board here against this defense, and this defense is legitimate, man. They're really good. I'm in on LSU. If Ed Orgeron could get the boys going today, I'm in on them. Is Virginia a fraud or has Miami stepped up? No, Virginia's a fraud. Virginia's a fraud. Why is Vanderbilt great at baseball but sucks at football? I guess because they get guys that are good at baseball. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for checking out the show. We're going down the card. We're on 181, 182, San Jose, Nevada. Nevada's been a major disappointment. And if Nevada wants to go somehow to a bowl game, they got to win this game. San Jose, the tide is turning out in the Bay Area. This team has started to figure it out a little bit. They've become a tough opponent to deal with. If you're going and laying points in Nevada right now, I got to ask you, what are you doing with yourself? What tells you that Nevada is the player? Because this seems like, to me, two teams going in opposite directions, personally. Nevada's off a 54-3 loss to Hawaii. And San Jose seems to keep hanging around in every game. So, yeah, I'm not running to the window to lay 3 points in Nevada. Not a game I'm on. Alabama, Texas A&M. I mean, I've seen this song and dance before. I'm not getting involved with Alabama or stepping in front of them. If I had to play it, I think they'd roll here. A&M's another fraud team. Remember when everyone thought they should be, they're a team that might give Alabama and Clemson and all these other teams some trouble. Yeah, how's that worked out for you? Clemson got backdoored from Texas A&M. I don't think Alabama will. Middle Tennessee, Florida Atlantic. Two bad defenses. Florida Atlantic will win, but I mean, with that quarterback play and that defense, can they win by margin? Seems like a high-scoring first team to 35 will win. UAB San Antonio. I don't get UAB. I don't really see it. I don't know why they're a 12-point favorite here. UTSA is not a good team, but there's a couple things about UTSA you have to like here. First of all, UAB's best player is out. Spencer Brown's out with an injury. Running back, not going to play today. And what that means is Tyler Johnson's going to have to throw the ball, and that's not good if you're a UAB fan. Whether it's him or A.J. Erdley, they're just not real good quarterbacks. They just can't move the ball. And you're not going to have him to fall back on in the run game. This is an interesting game for UTSA. For anyone that doesn't know, UTSA plays at the Alamo Dome. Okay, they have a good fan base, actually. They're outside of the Spurs, there's no sports really of any kind in San Antonio from a standpoint of college level or professional. So they love the Spurs, and they actually love UTSA football. I've been to San Antonio. I know what I see. And they get good crowds down there. I also believe it is homecoming, and I also believe that it's some kind of Hispanic something day in San Antonio, maybe Hispanic Heritage Month down in San Antonio. If you know anything about San Antonio, very culturally, Latino, very close knit with the Mexican communities and that kind of thing. So, I think this is a great spot to take San Antonio. I'm not big on those emotional kind of games. I'm not. I mean, I don't think it means much of anything. But for a team like UTSA in a game like this, against an opponent like this, that I think they can stay and hang around with, I think they can draw off that crowd today. I really do. I think that's something that will kind of drive them and motivate them a little bit. They're actually not having a real bad season. They're 2-3. One of the losses against Baylor. I mean, no shame in that. The other one's against Army. I mean, no shame in that. And North Texas, no shame in that. Only wins are against Incarnate Word and UTEP. But, has anyone been real impressed with UAB? I mean, they lost to West Kentucky. They win last week. And I know they beat Rice by 15. But if anybody watched that game, you would have knew that Rice was inside the number most of the game. So I'm not really – and then against Alabama State and Akron, they didn't look particularly good in. And they were without their best player. I kind of like UTSA here. It seems like too many points to me. North Texas, Southern Miss. This game seems like a fun game. Seems like a game that is likely close. Both these quarterbacks are really good, Mason Fine and Jack Abraham. I'm not believing in the Southern Miss defense, though. I don't think they're good. I don't think they're good at all. And I think North Texas can move the ball. I think any kind of underdog spot for North Texas I'm interested in. This game is basically a toss-up, but I'll take North Texas on the fact that I just like their defense a bit more. I like Mason Fine a lot. So I'll take the boys from Denton to get the job done here. If I'm playing this game, I'd likely play the money line. I don't think the points are going to really – I think they're going to win this game. So that's probably my money line game of the day on the show. North Texas, plus 130. Army, Western Kentucky. Definitely a game I think Army will win, but West Kentucky's tough. They're figuring it out with Ty Storey at quarterback. I talked about that the last couple of weeks. I talked about it last week on the show against Old Dominion. They had no problem with it. But this is a different animal. This is a game that Western Kentucky doesn't see very often. Army off a loss. They don't normally lose 2 in a row. You won't find me betting against Army. You just won't. But you also, in this game, won't find me betting on them either. Charlotte, FIU. This is a game that I bet. I'm on Charlotte +5. And, first of all, I just think I think this game is a shootout. So I think 5 points is going to be really important. Second of all, I'm getting a team in Charlotte that I think the tide's turning in a little bit. And I think this is a game where if this was last year, the year before, Charlotte would lose this game. But I think Will Healy started to bring a culture change down to Charlotte. There's some excitement around this program. And, to me, this is a team that you look at their games this year. They have a win against Gardner-Webb. They have a win against UMass. And then they have 3 losses. Their 3 losses are to Clemson, who is arguably the best team in the country. App State, who I think we saw the other night, is really good. They put up 41 points, Charlotte did in that game. And then they lost to Florida Atlantic. 3 teams that there's no harm in losing to. But you look at coming up here. And I know they have some tough games. But to me, this is what I like to call a tipping off point. Okay? You have a chance, you're 2-3, to go and get bowl eligible. You need 4 wins in 7 games. And you look at this game, winnable game. Next week, winnable game. Middle Tennessee, a winnable game. UTEP, a game you should win. And Old Dominion. This is an important game tonight for FIU. I love their run game, Charlotte. FIU can't stop the run. And they're going to get points up. That's what Charlotte does. But I think a lot of it is skewed as to what they really are defensively. I know they're giving up a lot of points, but I also believe that you look at the 2 opponents that put up 56 and 52. And those teams are going to put up 50s against a lot of teams. This is definitely a team that's more on the level of Charlotte. I'm not really seeing a significant reason why FIU is more than a 3-point favorite here. 5 seems like really good value on Charlotte. You look at FIU, I mean, I take out last week. I mean, who cares? I mean, UMass is a Division II team. I mean, they got beat up by La Tech, got beat up by FIU, got beat up by Tulane. I think these are 2 teams on very similar platforms. And one thing about Charlotte that I'm going to put out there, I think they have the best player on the field in Ben LeMay. Really good player. I like Chris Reynolds, the quarterback. They have some solid receivers in Tucker and Dollar. I like Charlotte here. This is a play I've already made as well. I'm on. I grabbed the 5 here and took Charlotte. If you're on Twitter, retweet the show. Let people know we're breaking down every game. We're talking about every game. No charge. This is totally free. I'm not bringing you bullshit. I'm giving you breakdowns. I'm not giving you, I like this team because their green jerseys are cool. I'm not giving you stats that don't make sense. I actually know what I'm talking about, and we're having fun doing it. UMass, La Tech. I mean, is this a point right now where you just bet against UMass no matter what the number is? Do we all just as a whole say, you know what? We think La Tech is way better than UMass, and we think UMass fucking sucks. So do we just take La Tech? Is this kind of a let your hair down game for La Tech and a game they just kind of destroy a team in? Because you look at La Tech this year, okay? Texas, they lose. It's Texas. They struggled against Grambling. Struggled against FIU. Struggled against Rice. I mean, is La Tech capable of blowing anyone out? But then you think about it, well, a UMass is also way worse than anyone they've played. So, I don't know. Pass. Air Force, Fresno State. Air Force laying 3, total 51. I don't think this is a vintage Fresno team. In fact, I know they're not a vintage Fresno team. They're impressive. They're not great. I think these 2 teams are on similar wavelengths. It's always tough to go to Colorado Springs and play football. It's above elevation. It's a massive, massive advantage to the Air Force. You got to wonder where their heads are at after last week. It's a tough loss. It was a really tough loss. And you kind of feel bad in a way for them. Probably should have won that game. But what the Air Force does is they pick themselves up. Generally, they're not going to be beat up in the trenches. They're usually much better than anyone in the trenches. And I think there's always a solace in taking Air Force. They're one of the least penalized teams in the country. They're a team that Always is up for the game. There's no letdowns. But this is a Fresno team that I guess I feel like they're decent enough to hang around because I don't know if Air Force can really exploit their weakness. Their weakness is in the passing game defensively, and I don't think Air Force can exploit that. Air Force is going to sit and run the ball a ton. I don't know. You look at the weather tonight. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be cold, in the 30s. I don't know. I think Air Force bounces back here, but just not a game I'm real keen on getting involved with. This game's at 7:00 p.m. I mean, you're gonna have temps in the 30s, so pass for me. USC Notre Dame. Yeah, I lean USC. I like Notre Dame. I don't love Notre Dame. Slovis has actually been really impressive, and I think USC's defense is better than people think. Florida State, Clemson. Talked about this game with Joe Duffy. Florida State's going to get destroyed in the trenches. Their offensive line is one of the worst in the country. I'll tell you what, there's an offensive line problem in the ACC. There's a lot of bad offensive lines in that conference. Miami, Virginia, Florida State. Just bad offensive lines. This is a game where you kind of figure Clemson shows out. I think they do. Penn State, Iowa. I mean, look, I like Iowa. Don't get me wrong. I love their defense. I think they're always tough. But, does anyone really think that offense is any good? I know Nate Stanley's a better quarterback than they've had in years past. He's better than, Jake Rudock and guys like that. Or not Jake Rudock. What was that kid they had there? I forget his name. I don't even remember. It was so long ago. Penn State, I'm not really looking to step in front of. But weird things happen in Kinnick Stadium as far as games. So, it could be a game where Penn State gets humbled. Have they been tested recently, really? If I had to play it, I'd take Iowa, but, that offense is hard to watch at times. And then the last game, Wyoming, San Diego State. I don't bet on Wyoming games. I never have success with them betting on or against, so I have no opinion here. So there you go. I hate to tell you, I don't think there's any show in the country that will do what I just did. Keep in mind, I just went over every single game and gave you something for everyone. Who's doing that? I pat myself on the back or the shoulders. There you go. All I need you to do, hit the like button, tell your friends, support the show. I don't get anything out of doing this show, guys. Okay, I like to put content out, and I love doing this kind of stuff. And that's why I do it. But I like how we did this. We went over every game. We gave out some picks, and we had some fun along the way of doing it. 20 degrees in Colorado Springs. That's not true. It's not 20 degrees. Look, Simon, good commenter. That's not true, though. It's 38, and it's going to be 38 tonight. It's stark difference from 20. I was a perennial 8-4 team. Penn State wins. Last play of the game. Okay. How about that? Last play of the game, he says. I couldn't disagree. I could see that. Do I think UTSA has a chance to win outright? Would it be the most surprising thing of the day? No. UAB's not been great lately. And they're without their best player. So I wouldn't be surprised, no. Big man, you're a spirit animal. If I ever go to your neck of the woods, cheesesteaks are on me. All right, well, let me know. Listen, if you want to hear about a game, rewind and listen. I went over all of them. Armand, play of the day is Temple +5, he says. Okay, I don't disagree with you. I think it's a good spot for the Owls today. Talked about it. All right, here's what we'll do, guys. 5 more minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask anything. Any questions on anything. You want to hear about anything? Doesn't have to be sports related. I'll just take 5 minutes of questions. What do you got? Are you and Donnie doing the show tomorrow? No, I'm no longer on that show. Really, it was a lot of Bush League stuff as usual by SBR. They asked me to do a show. Then they tell me they don't want me to do the show. Then they come back and tell me they do want to do the show. Look, I don't have time for games. Either you want me or you don't. That show is the best show they have. We get 500 people in there every week. We win every week. SBR has a problem with me. It's that simple. For whatever reason, they want to do all their shows with one guy and have listeners on and break games on. That's their prerogative. We win in that show. I don't know why you would remove it, but listen, we get results. All I can do is try. I want to make people well aware of this. I didn't make any money from doing that show. They didn't pay me for it. All those shows I did for free. I did because Donnie is my friend and I love doing shows with him. And he's the only reason I did it in the first place. So what they'll do tomorrow is Donnie will have to carry that show because whoever they put on there is not going to have the chemistry as we do. And, it'll just be another, frankly, another fucking show with Jimmy the Bag. I mean, how many fucking shows can that guy do a day? I mean, he's on every show. 9 o'clock he's on, 12 o'clock. I mean, how many times do we need to hear the same thing? I mean, don't you want a different opinion? Again, I'm not losing any sleep over it because I don't get anything out of it. I just did it because it was fun to do with Donnie. That's about it. But for anyone, would someone ask, am I doing the show tomorrow? No, I'm not. I'm probably going to do my own show, just like this show, and I'm going to go over every game. So if you want to join me, I'd love to see you. We can have fun. We can talk about games. I'm doing well in the NFL in that show, and in my on my list, I'm having a winning season so far. It's not been great. I mean, I'm not up 10,000 units, but I'm treading water. We're only a few weeks into the season. A couple other comments here. Yeah, and that's what they do, Alex. I mean, they're always flip-flopping. They always have decisions they make, and then they go back on it. And that's just how they're built. Why is Janice annoying on The Sopranos? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's her character. But yeah, that's the truth about it. So, how's basketball research going? I'm pretty much done. I mean, I'm pretty much ready for the season to start. I would like to do something like what we're doing right now. I'm going to plan something. The 5 o'clock show is coming back. For anyone that's listening to the show right now, I want to tell you about what I'm going to be doing for college basketball. We're going to have a show starting November 5th. It's going to be back 5 o'clock Eastern every day. If you're familiar with me and you're familiar with this channel, we do it for college basketball. But I'm also going to have a show with Ski Profit. Ski Profit's going to be on daily. We're going to go over the NBA card, and we're going to have a show dedicated to the NBA. So if you like Ski Profit, you like his NBA stuff, we're gonna have that on the channel as well. So listen, this channel gets more views live than they get over there with one guy and with 50,000 less subs because we put out the best info here. It's just that simple. So if you're around, you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so so you don't ever miss a show. And we're going to be ready to go November 5th and October 22nd for the NBA show. All right. You should do a live show at Morency. I mean, Gabe's with Fantasy. He does his things over there. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed doing spots with Gabe. Speaking of Morency, he's done some type of live show at the Meadowlands. Yeah, he does it with Fantasy. You, Morency, and Cam Stewart would be epic. Well, contact Fantasy and tell them that. Do you have a pregame meal you like to have before a game you've wagered on? No. No, I don't. Can't say I do. My old adage in life is I kind of just eat when I'm hungry. I've talked very candidly about what foods I like and don't like. I really don't eat bad, as I've said before. I have to go get checked out. I think I have something wrong with me inside. But I really don't eat bad. I don't drink soda. I don't eat ice cream or a lot of red meat, or I don't. Was Annabella Sciorra in Sopranos the hottest thing, or is it just me? No, she was hot for sure. Is she the hottest girl in the show? No, but she's hot. Does Babano live with his mom? No, he does not. Do I have a wide receiver or running back you like to tear it up today? Yeah, Zach Charbonnet from Michigan. I think he has a big game. All right, I'm out of here. You guys enjoy your day. Thanks for checking out the show. Um, if you missed something, you can rewatch it anytime. The link will be out. You'll have a great day. For me, I am going to hope to go 3-0 today. Going to hope to have some fun and get some winners. Let's go with a free play here for the show. Why not? Let's go UTSA plus 12 against UAB. Couple unders. I like Old Dominion Marshall under. And I like, I like those two. Free plays for you. My 3 plays, though, that I've already bet and I put out, I like, and all my plays in college are free. I'm 20-17 on the season. I have Charlotte plus 5. I have Navy money line against Tulsa, and I'm on Texas plus 10.5. So, listen, if you follow me on Twitter, I'll probably be tweeting a lot about Texas, and I'll be annoyed as hell because they're giving up a lot of points. But this should be a fun game to watch. At 12 o'clock, there's no other game I care about. Let's have some fun. I'll be on tomorrow, 12 noon, breaking down the NFL. I'm going to go over every game. I'm going to give you my candid opinion on every game. We'll have some free picks along the way. Maybe someone important will stop by. Who knows? Make sure you join me for that. 12 o'clock tomorrow, new show. I'm not on SBR anymore. I'm on my channel. Make sure you check it out. Have a great day. Enjoy college football week 7.